Hello everyone, odedex here, welcome to episode 134 of my Sims Let's Play. So in the previous episode I built this mushroom farming machine and it's actually working pretty good. So far I've got a nice amount of mushrooms. Let's actually have a look. So far I've got 270 mushrooms, so it's doing a job pretty well. However, some changes I'd like to do to it is actually first turn it off. And so far, in most of my farms or collection points, what I've been doing when I've been collecting too many of something is simply start disposing of it. So, for example, when I collect more than 64 stacks of string, I'm getting rid of it. Same with bones and ender pearls and everything. Most things that are collected, I'm getting rid of. However, I could do the same for mushrooms, set up an upper limit, but instead of actually using another one of those disposing systems, actually what I want to do is go for something a little different. So for that, I'm actually going to need a couple of strips to separate the signals. So let's get some red power strip covers. I'm going to need an end gate and a level emitter. And I'm probably also going to need some ME cables. Now, I'm doing this because since I've already connected two ME extractors, or not extractors, those ME, forgot the name, the ones that place items into, those export buses into those deployers right here, meaning I already have the connection right here of the entire ME system. What I could do is actually use the system using a level emitter and simply stop it when it has enough of whatever I need, or for that matter, mushrooms. So let's disable two signals. I still want to read a lever, so at any point in time, if I want to turn it off, I'm still going to need a signal from a lever. It's probably going to be turned on all the time, but assuming at any given point I don't want it, I can simply turn it off. And here, I'm going to place my level emitter, which will send a signal. I'm going to need some mushrooms here. This will send a signal as long as I don't have 4,096, or basically 64 stacks of mushrooms. Now, obviously, right now it's emitting a signal because it's not connected to anything, but let's connect it. So let's go like this. 1, 2, whoops. Here and here. Okay, so obviously at the current state it will obviously keep running, it will keep mining. I just didn't change anything. However, at the moment I'm hitting that 64 stacks mark, this is going to stop because this end gate will lose the signal from this side, meaning it will stop mining when I have that amount. And this is simply, I think, a cleaner way to stop the collection of items instead of simply getting rid of them using void pipes whenever I have too much of them. But essentially it's the same, just limiting the capacity of items. Okay, so this episode today, I'm finally hoping to go ahead and address the last material I'm still missing for the Eye of Galgador automated crafting, which is the ghast tiers. So far I've got everything else. I've went through the process of showing you that I've got everything so many times, but pretty much ghast tiers is the last thing that I still haven't got. Now, I pretty much got myself a working farm on a test world, so I know pretty much what to do. And I'm gonna separate this farm into two parts. First is the actual collection part of ghast souls, and the other one is actually building the farm itself. Now, something I actually discovered off screen, I guess most of you knew it, but this is actually an interesting thing about the soul shards mod. What I'm going to need is one soul shard. I crafted myself a whole new vile sword with soul stealer 5 because this one, the one that I had right here, I repaired it so many times I just can't repair it anymore. Actually, not. Let's destroy it. So I'm gonna get my soul shard, this empty soul shard. I'm gonna quickly clear my inventory a little bit, and I'm gonna go and make my way to the nether. Now you may be asking yourself, why the hell would I go to the nether with only this sword which is about to get destroyed? Well, here's a nice trick about soul shards. I assume it's intended because you can do it without any trouble, but it's a very convenient thing to do. Okay, so first let's start by actually collecting a ghast. Collecting a ghast soul is something I cannot really avoid. I'm gonna have to manually find one. There is no way around that, so I actually have to kill one of them. If one of them would spawn, that would be great. There we go, we have a ghast. Let's kill it and collect his soul. Okay, there we go. So this soul shard is now tagged as a ghast soul shard. Now, when you have a ghast soul shard and any other soul shard, here's a nice trick. Again, most of you guys probably know it, or some of you guys know it, but for those of you that don't know it, this is actually very convenient. Now, in terms of balance, you might argue about that, how balanced that really is, but to be honest, the process of killing about 200 ghasts right now doesn't really appeal to me, so I'm gonna skip that. Okay, so there is a feature in soul shards that lets you simply combine an existing soul shard, basically two existing soul shards, while basically combining the soul count towards one of them. So for example, I have two soul shards here. One of them has a tier 5 skeleton, this one also is tier 5 zombie, but you know what, let's get rid of, I have this, well, okay, let's just take the tier 5 zombie. Now I'm using zombies or skeletons because they're so easily achieved. All the Thaumcraft dungeons always have those spawners, so it's really easily to get them. So when you have experience, what you can do is basically go to your anvil, place the first soul shard, the one that targets soul shard on the left, and the other soul shard on the right. And you can see the result will be a ghast soul shard with full amount of souls. And before actually doing that, you can see that you can do it with almost anything. Basically, I think almost, well, not almost, everything. Any type of soul shard can go through that process. You basically can, if there is a monster that it's hard for you to tag, or hard for you to kill, or hard for you to farm, and there is another one which is very easily farmable. So for example, I could take this cow soul shard and invest all my chicken souls into it, so 128 will turn into 340. Now actually the numbers don't quite add up, but basically you can see that you can invest cheap souls into expensive souls, of course at the cost of levels. So what I'm going to do is basically take my ghast soul and invest zombie souls in it and get myself a full tier 5 ghast soul shard. And oh, my village just disappeared. Should probably build a new one at some point. Anyway, this is pretty much the first half of the project completed and done very easily. So this is a tip for you guys that if you ever want to try and get a very high tier soul shard, but you have a problem collecting some souls, it can very easily be done. And at the hindsight, I could actually apply that method to the spiders. When I was looking through the Great Wood Forest spiders, spawners, I could actually apply the same, collecting only one of them and then applying one of those large soul shards that I have instead. Anyway, the first half is completed. I've got the soul shard ready to go. So the next step will be actually setting up the trap. Now, as I've said, I've already built a working system on the test world. So what I'm going to do is actually kind of copy that. And the system uses modular force field systems. Now, what I said it in the previous episode, that the MFFS is kind of unintuitive. I want to change what I've said. I can't change the past, but I want to change what I've said. It's simply a little bit more complicated than you might think. It took me a little bit of a while to understand it, but it's actually very easy to understand once you get it. So it's actually a very useful tool. But to the point, let's start building what I need. So I'm going to need an MFFS capacitor, I'm going to need an extractor, and I'm going to need a projector. So let's start. So for the capacitor, I'm going to need a couple of things. Okay, let's start. I think I'm going to start adding those recipes into applied logistics. I'm considering it for this. Okay, the first thing and most important thing, let's start processing monazite. I've been collecting it since day one, but I'm not using it, so let's start processing it. Let's add the recipe. Let's add, you have two options. You can either smelt it, or you can macerate it or pulverize it. So I'm going to go obviously with the maceration process because it's simply twice as good. So not really going to add actually any recipe. I'm simply going to drop it into one of those export buses. Let's go for the one with silver and iron. It's a little bit more rare than tin and copper, I think. So simply going to drop one of it in here, and obviously it's going to start filling up this relay, which will take a while. But that will basically start processing monazite into the forcicium or forcicum or forcilium. I don't know how you pronounce it. I'm going to call it forcicum because it's just easier to say. So the forcicum is the basic material for the MFFS mod. Okay, so let's see. So for the capacitor, I'm going to need MFFS force energy crystal. I'm going to need 4 of those. Let's see, for the extractor I'm going to need 2, and for the projector I'm going to need none. Okay, so let's create 6. So I'm going to need a lot of forcicum and some diamonds. So let's get some forcicum, whoops, and some diamonds. And let's create those crystals. I have a feeling that they won't stack, and right now it's going to fill up my inventory. Yep, they don't stack. Okay, so I'm going to need 6 of these guys. Next up, I'm going to need, for the capacitor, I'm going to need, well, electronic circuits are not a problem. I'm going to need the frequency transmitter. So that's electronic circuit and copper cables. So let's get one of each, a stack of each. Let's get a stack of this and a stack of this. And combine, I'm going to need 2 of them. So that's 1, 2. And finally, I'm going to need an advanced machine block. I think I may have some spare ones here. Nope, but I can craft them relatively easily. Yeah, I'm gonna go ahead and do that off screen, so I'll be right back. Okay, so hopefully I've got whatever I needed. Let's see. So I'm gonna need 1 advanced machine block for each of those machines. So I'm gonna create 3 of them. So 1, 2, 3. And okay, so for the capacitor, I don't think, can I just not paste it? Oh, I don't have the circuits on me. So let's get those. So for the capacitor, I have 1. The capacitor is pretty much the main block in MFFS. This is kind of the brain of every network. You gotta have this for every type of network or some line of machines that you wanna need. The extractor is pretty much how you create the force energy. So for that I'm going to need electronic circuit and an extractor. So that's relatively easy to make. Just need a couple of those things, whatever you're going to call them. Those 3 taps. So 1, 2, 3, and 4. And go ahead and create the MFFS extractor using one of those and those. So, okay, so this is the extractor. This is pretty much how you this is where you can take your forcicum and turns into force energy. It also has one more job, like that you can actually charge up forcicum cells, but that's kind of more advanced. It's not something I'm going to touch too much on this little project. And the MFFS projector, which is actually the important part. This one creates the actual force field. I'm gonna need 1 more transmitter, and I'm actually gonna need this thing. I'm gonna need a lot of those. Oh, but okay, so this crafting recipe creates a bunch. I'm not going to need that many. Let's get some diamonds, some glass, and I will need some iron as well, some refined iron that is. I have 6 here. Let's turn one of those back into 8, and that should be good enough. So let's go ahead and create that focus matrix. Just one time it creates a stack, and it's more than enough than what I'm going to need. So I can go ahead, actually I'm going to need one of those as well. So 1 more cable. Good thing I have an access point to my HV solar array factory right there for those 2 products. It's actually very convenient. So 1 of those, and that gives me the projector. The projector is pretty much what as the name suggests, projects the actual field. Okay, so right off the bat, I'm going to create pretty much all the upgrades that I'm going to need. You can apply many different upgrades and modifications to your force fields, and they change how everything works. So the first thing I'm going to need is the projector module. Now, every time you place a projector, you can see there is a module type. You can choose whatever. I'm going to go over the rest of this thing later on, but first thing, you need some sort of module type to choose. I think I can't actually break that like this. You should use this. Yep. That you need to use some sort of module. Now, basically, it will decide on the shape of the force field. So there is a sphere, there is a cube, there is a wall, there is a deflector, there is a tube. To be honest, I'm not 100% sure what's the differences between all of them. Like, for example, what's the difference between, why would you use 6 walls instead of a cube? Maybe to create some sort of a prism in a unique shape, I don't know. You probably can have your different ideas, but I'm going to go for the advanced cube. So the advanced cube, let's take a look, will require 8 of those MFFS focus matrices and 1 cube module. So that's pretty much obsidian, and again, those materials. So let's get some obsidian. I probably should start considering myself with the obsidian production because I'm not producing any, but it seems fine for the time being. So let's have one of those and then surround it with those focus matrices, which gives me the advanced cube module. Okay, so that's that. Next up, I'm actually going to need, let's see, I'm going to need, I think, this amount of focus matrices is good enough. However, I'm going to need 5 of those field modulator distance thingies. Oh no, wait, I'm going to need this, the field modulator strength. I'm going to need 5 of those. So that's actually using more of this. Okay, so apparently that recipe, those focus matrices are actually quite useful, it seems. Okay, so I'm going to need more of them. Then let's create more of them. Let's create the recipe once more. So I've got those, I've got the advanced cube module. I'm going to need MFFS card, and I'm going to need 2 of them. This is pretty much how you can connect between your networks. Since there are no cables and there is no nothing, those blocks pretty much connect in between them using those wireless information on those MFFS cards. So they're relatively cheap to make. I'm going to need just 2 actually. So let's create, I'm going to need some 16 paper. And so I can craft it twice. So 2 blank cards. Okay. And what else? Now I'm going to go for maximum upgrades. You can see that when you place down the capacitor and the extractor, they have several upgrade slots right here. This one corresponds to this one, the extractor booster, meaning basically that the extractor will extract faster. And this one correlates to this, which is the capacitor upgrade, which means it can store more energy. And for this one, I have the same storage. Basically, you can store more energy, and also this thing, the range upgrade. Now, I'm not 100% sure on how I'm exactly going to need this, because I'm probably going to place those things relatively close by. But just for the sake of building this nicely, let's just go for maximum upgrades right off the bat. Now, they kind of stack weirdly, like you don't get 64 of them. So let's see, I'm going to need 18 of the capacity upgrades. So this thing I'm going to need 18 of to go for maximum capacity on both machines. So that means a lot of carbon plates and a lot of energy crystals. Let's actually... I'm considering adding it to my applied logistics. However, the thing is, I'm not sure on after this project where I'm actually gonna use this. So this is kind of the thing here. Okay, I'm gonna head and do this off screen probably. Yeah, so I'll be right back. Okay, so I think I've got all the materials to actually create it. However, because it requires those force energy crystals, and I really don't want to start messing around with unstackable items, I'm quickly gonna resort to using the fabricators from Zycraft, which seems to have some trouble updating visually for some reason. Okay. Ooh, some funny business going on here. Well, anyway, this is a fabricator. I'm not sure what's going on. Something is not happy. Anyway, let's go ahead and create it. So for those 18 capacitor upgrades, I'm going to need 18 force energy crystals. So let's limit it by simply giving it only diamonds. Let's only give it 18, so it cannot create more than 18. Like this, and simply dump in a ton of forsicum. So I've got room for 8 stacks. Let's just dump 8 stacks of forsicum. And obviously I'm out of inventory space, but that's one. And here let's apply the actual capacity upgrade and dump all the carbon plates in here. So I'm gonna need just a little bit more, and there we go. Oh, I'm gonna need a little bit more carbon mesh plates, or whatever they're called. Yeah, because I'm creating. Lately, I've been using a lot of my machinery and kind of running low on blaze rods. I may want to considering even adding a little bit more energy sources here, such as HV solar arrays or something. We'll see. But yeah, let me quickly complete this, and you can see that they only stack up to 9. Now, since I'm going to apply those 2 upgrades in both of those machines, this is why I'm going to need a 9 times 2, or basically 18. So let me quickly complete that. Okay, so I got the last carbon plates that I need. Let's create that, and we got ourselves the capacitor upgrades. Now, unfortunately, they don't stack very well, but when I have to manage to along with that. Next up, I'm gonna want to have extractor boosters. Now, again, those kind of stack weirdly, only up to 19. So this is though I'm gonna get 19. Unfortunately, we're going to need even more carbon plates. A lot of coal goes into this. Good thing I have a supply of 100,000 coal. But yeah, again, something I'm going to quickly do off screen. Not too much about it, just carbon plate processing and this. Or actually, you know what, I maybe even can craft it right now because it creates 4 at a time. So let's get 5 overclockers. Which should take a little bit of a while because it goes through the processing of using a deployer. So this is slightly slower than the other things I can craft, but still faster than crafting it manually. Good thing I've added that. So let's take those 5, paste the recipe for the booster, dump 4 of those, and this. Okay, and you can see that it stacks up to 19. And this is the prime example because I just created 20. I couldn't create less, so now I'm stuck with this silly business, which I have no use for. And lastly, I'm gonna create the range upgrades, just so I can, if I want, I can place this further away from the actual capacitor. First, place the projector, basically make the capacitor be able to connect with blocks further away than I think the default is 8 blocks away. I'm not sure if I'm actually gonna use it, but let's just go ahead and do this. Now what, let's not create the maximum amount, there is simply no need. I'm gonna create a few and that will be enough. How many of those I've got? Let's create 10 because I've got 10 carbon plates, or let's actually take a look. I think I've got even less advanced circuits. Let's let the lowest, yeah, I've got 7, so let's just create 7 because this is the most that I have of those recipes. Okay, so range upgrade, paste that. Endermen are flying all over my place. So I'm going to need 7 copper cables and 21 uninsulated cables. Let's see. 21 means this. And for copper cables, let's just steal some from here. And place this and this. So we've got ourselves 7 MFFS capacitor upgrades for the range upgrade. Basically it makes everything be able to connect further away. Okay, and I think that's pretty much everything that I need. Oh wait, actually no, I'm still gonna need also the projector upgrade for the NPC defense. This is actually using spider eyes and bones and rotten flesh and this and Tesla coil. This is basically the entire brain here. So the force field that I'm going to create will be modified with this, the NPC defense, basically saying that all the NPCs inside it, or all the enemies to be more precise, will be treated as hostile and be attacked. So this is the entire idea here. So I'm going to need this quickly. So that means spider eyes, bones, blaze rods, and rotten flesh, and also a Tesla coil. So quickly, let me clear my inventory and I'll be right back. Okay, so a Tesla coil is actually something that I haven't created before, but it shouldn't be too much of a trouble. Let's see. You know what, let's steal everything from HV Solar Factory. I think I could steal all the products from there. So let's go ahead and do that. Okay, so for it I'm gonna need redstone, refined iron, electronic circuit, and MV transformer. So let's steal the MV transformer one. Let's steal one from here. I'm gonna need only one. I'm stuck with them on me. Okay, let's just paste them here. One MV transformer, and refined iron, and an electronic circuit. Actually, nothing too complicated. Redstone and electronic circuit. Okay, let's go ahead and craft it. You simply dump the rest of those excess materials back into the system. Yeah, my game seems to be acting very strange lately. Don't know what's that all about. Okay, so Tesla coil. Come on, what did I forget? Oh, I need more refined iron than one. Okay, so this and this. One Tesla coil. Let's just dump the rest in here. Get rid of this redstone. And I'm going to need blaze rods, bones, rotten flesh, and spider eyes. So blaze rods, spider eyes. Good thing I'm farming those. Ooh, more than 1,000 already. Rotten flesh I don't think I'm storing here, and bones. Rotten flesh I've got here. Should have some here. Okay, and that gives me the NPC defense upgrade. Nice. Okay, so looking at the episode length, there is no way in hell I'm gonna manage to complete the entire project today. So for the rest of this episode, I'm actually going to quickly store all those trap products in temporary chest. I'm gonna take care of that in the next episode. But since there is still some time, there are two things that I'd like to do, which kind of things that I've been thinking about to do for quite some time. Minor things, but useful nevertheless. So the first thing is something actually came up right now, which is also apply a level emitter to my wood farm, because you can see I've went beyond 64 stacks, and I just like to keep everything on kind of the same amount of items, and 64 stacks is a very nice amount. So let's make the farm stop using a level emitter. Same trick I just did with my mushroom farm in the beginning of the episode. I'm gonna need some cables, and I'm gonna use an AND gate to have still have the option to manually turn it off for any reason whatsoever in case I want to. So let's get the AND gate and set it up. I'm actually gonna need some wood to set up the condition. So first, let's go ahead and turn it off. Let's see. I need to try and make some room here. It's kind of very compact, a little bit too much compact. But I think I can fix this. Okay, let's have the AND gate right here. And disable this input. Have the level emitter right here, and have the lever, which I didn't have because I was using a torch so far. Let's get the lever. right there. Of course, turn it on by default, and then simply connect it to the rest of my network. I'm going to do this underground because this golem is already having trouble jumping all around those heft blocks, so let's not make it any harder on him. I'm going to need to hide some of those blocks. Okay. Let's do this. Okay, so let's connect it here. And here. There we go. And that conditional will check to have, it will emit a signal when I have less than 4096 birchwood. So right now it's turned off. And again, this will not emit a signal even though there is a tree waiting to be harvested. Let's actually quickly seal it up so the golem doesn't fall down by accident. There we go. So now you'll be able to see that even when the tree grows, no signal will go through because it's not turned on. So this is the first thing that I wanted to do. And the second thing is actually a suggestion on episode 128. Sorry, I forgot who actually mentioned it. That I can actually use, let's see, I forgot the names. Suspended tracks. I can actually use suspended tracks and not waste those precious blocks right here and here and here and here and here. It's kind of silly, those only 4 blocks of them, but it will actually look a little bit nicer and there will be none of those going up and down, kind of silly business. So why is this not growing? This is actually a little bit worrying. I want to make sure that it can still grow. Anyway, let's go ahead and create 2 of those suspended tracks. So to create them, I'm going to need wooden ties and standard rail. So I'm going to need create it twice for 32. I think I'm going to need 32. Actually, I'm going to need, I think, 4 times 6. Oh, actually 24 only. Okay, so, well, I'm going to have to be forced to create it at least twice anyway. So let's go ahead and get myself, I'm going to need 3, and let's uncraft one of those wooden rail beds. Okay, and I'm going to need 12 of those things. So let's steal from here. You're gonna need only 12. There we go. Let's quickly go ahead and uncraft this wooden rail bed. I hope that I can do it. Nope, I can't. Okay, so I'm gonna need some more wooden ties. Or, you know what, let's just go ahead. I'm gonna go and craft one of those right now and complete it off screen, so you can see what's the difference between using this and not using this. So let's create the first batch. So 16 suspended tracks. And suspended tracks, I think you can actually place them on blocks, but you can also place them in the air. Like so. So they act still as tracks, but you can simply place them in the air. So they are kind of nice. Apparently there is a limitation to how far you can go. I guess you cannot go more than 1 or 2 blocks. And it doesn't seem like they really want to update to go in a corner. I don't know if it's intended or not. I would assume that they have some limitations, like not taking any corners in midair or anything. Probably just, you know, if you want to hover over one empty block, just like I want to right here. Okay, so the tree grew, there is no problem. They're pretty much the ideal solution. So for example, what I can do is come here, remove this block, and really, you know what, I hope I can connect them over a corner. You know what, I may have a problem. At least in the corners, they don't seem to be able to work. Yeah, they're not gonna work in a corner. But I can, however, make them work in, in any other place. such as right here. So if I break this, can place 2 normal tracks and replace them, the middle, with this suspended track. So it looks a little bit nicer, I think. It doesn't scream out this kind of ugly block, and you can place the light block right above it, and there shouldn't be any problem, that the car shouldn't have any trouble going under it. Okay, so I'm gonna go ahead and complete the rest of the track using the suspended tracks. I actually really wanted to use them in the corners, but apparently there is no way to do it, and I guess there isn't like an advanced suspended track. Yeah, there shouldn't be, because it's kind of really strong as is. Okay, so as always, got myself the MFFS thing done. Why is the signal going through? Oh, because I have this timer set on... Okay, let's set it up on a much longer period. Let's make it 5 minutes. Okay, so got the entire MFFS network set up, and, well, not set up, but prepared to be set up, and hopefully in the next episode I'm gonna set up the trap to finally complete my entire Galgadorian crafting system. So as always, thank you guys for watching, and I'll see you guys next time.